All right, we're going to talk today about timing and accomplishment. So, in other words, the things you want to accomplish and the time frame in which you will accomplish them, or rather believe you can accomplish them. Most of the time, what we see in the world and what I see in my world around me is that we dramatically underestimate what we can accomplish in the short term, but then we dramatically overestimate what we can accomplish in the long term. So, for example, you would think that you could accomplish less in, call it 90 days, but you'd feel like you could accomplish a lot more if you were looking at maybe like a 5-year or a 10-year goal that you were trying to accomplish. As always, these things come up in the weirdest places. The idea to share this message with you guys came up in my workout this morning in CrossFit. And what it was 10 rounds of 8 wall balls and 8 burpees. So you do wall balls, burpees, wall balls, burpees, wall balls, burpees 10 times through. And this workout for me took me a little less than 12 minutes. And that may be more or less than what you can do if you're more fit than me. Congratulations. If you're less fit than me, well, also congratulations. Keep working. You will get to the level that you want to be. This isn't about fitness. This is more about the time frame. So I looked up at the clock at about 10 minutes in, thinking I want to finish before 12 minutes. And I had 2.5 rounds left at that point. So that means that I was going to have to go faster in my last couple rounds in order to get there in under 12 minutes, which I was successfully able to do because I had compressed my timeline down to a really short period of time. This relates directly, when I had that revelation this morning, it relates directly to how we think about the time frame in which we can achieve the objectives that we have. So, a perfect example of this is if you are right now running a business that's doing, let's call it maybe $3 million. You think that in the next 5 years, you can get to 15 million. Now, that's a lot of people's goals. They want to see what that type of growth is. That would be what percentage of growth that would be. I can't come up with it off the top of my head, but that would be a massive percentage of growth. They would think this is what I can do in 5 years. But they wouldn't think that they could increase that by maybe 25% in 90 days. They wouldn't think that. They would think that it was more likely about maybe 5% or maybe 8% in 90 days versus a much larger percentage. They would think that there was this massive, multiple of growth over the next 5 years. The problem with that is the timeline being very long drives down the urgency and it drives down the focus. So if something doesn't need to happen for 5 years, if you get it in your mind that says this is going to be 5 years away, it doesn't drive your urgency today and it doesn't drive your urgency tomorrow to do whatever work you need to do to actually have that goal become accomplished. More often what's going to happen is the first year you're going to entirely forget that you set this goal. You're not going to do anything about it. The second year, you're going to look at it and go, oh, you know what? Maybe it'd be time for us to start doing something about that, but you still won't. Third year comes and goes. Fourth year comes, okay, maybe we should do something about that now. By the time the 5th year starts, now you're focused on it because you wanted that to be your 5-year goal. And now you're trying to compress all the stuff that you would have had to do over 5 years down into a single year, which most of the time you're mentally not prepared to pull off. Doesn't mean you couldn't tactically do it. It means mentally you're looking at it as a 5-year goal, which is why you decided it was going to take you so long to get there in the first place. Now, take a different stance on that if we shorten the timeline. So if the timeline gets compressed, and obviously we state a different goal that we're going to have, but we compress the timeline on it. Now, what does that do? If you give yourself 90 days to accomplish something or 1 week to accomplish something inside of a larger goal of 90 days, you're going to have an increased level of focus on that thing that you need to do. You're going to have an increased level of intensity on the things that need to happen in order to make that goal a reality. And you're going to have an increased level of energy and enthusiasm because there's more instant gratification. Most of the time, the reason why when you set a goal, you don't achieve it is because you got bored and you got discouraged. You got bored because of the monotony of the work, going over and over and over and over again. Which, check it out, there should be a pop-up banner right now for consistency. I do videos on consistency as well. That will be important for you in this, but we could lose it for that. We could also lose it simply because we don't see the progress happening in real time. The only way that we get instant gratification is doing manual labor. Like if you mow lawns for a living, you go and you mow the lawn, and when you're done mowing the lawn looks way better than it did when you first started out. Or if you dig ditches, or if you paint. All of these are like not bad careers to have. I think society looks at them as bad, but I know people that do those things that make way more than doctors. It's just the perception of society. But what happens is that we don't get this instant gratification, this instant thing that says like, oh man, I did that, and there's the result that I got. So we get bored with this entire thing. That's one of the problems with long-term goals is you have to sustain your enthusiasm over such a long period of time without seeing any of the real results that are at least tangible in your face. I have been obsessed and studying direct response marketing for 7 years. For 7 years, it's almost half of the time that I've been an entrepreneur, which is about 20 years. So I guess I'm rounding up there. But in any event, it's like I've been obsessed with that. And it's not like there is visible progress on that every single day. Now, I'm not making a good argument for shortening your timelines, but I think that I was able to frame this and focus on this in a different way. And it's more just the way I operate in discipline. So I'm not talking to people that are exactly like me. I'm talking to the people that are not exactly like me, the people that do struggle to follow through, which isn't bad. Like more people struggle with that than anything else. If they just followed through on every single idea that they had over the last 5 years, their bank accounts would look different, their bodies would look different, their relationships would look different, but most people simply don't follow through for this very principle. The timeline is just too long. It's too long to maintain enthusiasm. It's too long to maintain focus, and it's way too long to maintain intensity. So when you shorten your timelines, you're giving yourself the gift of those three things. Your energy's better, your focus is better, and your energy and enthusiasm is off the charts this entire time because you see more instant gratification. Of course, the key is that every single short timeline you give yourself, whether that is a day, whether that is a week, whether that is 90 days, you have to have something tangible inside of that that says this is what got done. Now, that might be as simple as a spreadsheet that you can look at on your monitor and say, that got done. That will give you that spike of dopamine that makes you feel good about some form of accomplishment. And that is going to propel your momentum into doing it again the next day. So every day it starts fresh. Every day there's a new opportunity for focus. There's a new opportunity for intensity. And there's a new opportunity for energy and enthusiasm, or every week or every 90 days. Your job here is to figure out what interval works for you. So if you've got a 5-year goal and you still want to work on that, all the process is breaking it down into a lot smaller goals and then creating short timelines around those that are going to make you excited and energized, focused, intense, all these things that you need to be in order to accomplish it. The shorter the timeline you have, the more opportunities you give yourself to build momentum, which, by the way, is one of the most difficult things to start, but it's also one of the hardest things to stop once you have it. So if you shorten all these timelines, you will get all of those things, and you will accomplish your 5-year goals a whole lot faster. All right, guys, that's it. That is the show for the day, everybody. This is simply a process of breaking everything down. Oh, and don't forget, as always, don't keep this information for yourself. If you know somebody that struggles with accomplishment and needs a little reframe on how to get there faster, give yourself a really short timeline, like maybe right after this video ends, hit the share link in this, share it with somebody else in your life that you know needs to hear this message. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you guys on the next one.